Deacon Ervin, Caliente.
Always makes me nervous when the applause comes before the homily. Let me start this homily this way. The Father has been doing His work from all eternity. Christ has paid the mortgage, and we all have a home in heaven waiting for us. But we're making a big mistake if we think that every time we come here in this church, every time we prepare for this celebration of the liturgy, that we're doing all the work. Big, big mistake. The Father has been doing the work from the beginning of time. The liturgy is not the work of man. It's not our work. It's God, the Father, still working. We only participate in it. Any believing Jew in the biblical world who would realize what you and I are doing right now at this moment will be filled with awe and will probably think they're dying. Because right now, we are in the most awesome presence of the Most High God. Today in the first reading, the apostles found themselves with a good problem. The Christian community is growing. They need more men who need to serve and preach because the number of the disciples all over that area is increasing rapidly. What did they do? The apostles selected 7 men to be first deacons of the church so that the disciples can devote themselves to prayer and the ministry of the word so that they can minister on the breaking of the bread and the word of God. Yesterday, one of the successors of the apostles in the Diocese of Rockford by the name of Bishop David Malloy did exactly the same thing. There is not a question where diaconate came from. The order that I received yesterday came from the Bible itself. We just read it from the first reading. But what's the nature of this order? Diaconate, diaconia. Is it so that I can prove that I'm better than you? No. Is it so that I can be here and share you my wisdom? Not the main point. Diaconia is service. To be a deacon is to be a servant. And Father Jerome is very happy to hear that. A servant of what? A servant of love like Christ, who washes his disciples' feet. To be a deacon is to be conformed to Christ, the servant of God, who was obedient even unto death on a cross. First point, diaconia, to be called, is to serve, whether it's married life, whether it's priestly life or religious life. When you take your vocation and say yes to God, you serve, we serve. The second reading is an invitation to come to Christ, who is a living stone. You know, the first quarter of this year I spent in the Holy Land. I was there for 10 weeks, visited so many places. Bedrocks where Jesus and his disciples were supposed to have walked. All the Old Testament stories that we read in the Bible. All these ruins. But you know, if you don't have faith, all those bedrocks, all those ruins, all those rocks that you see in the Holy Land means nothing. Zero. But faith gives meaning. When you see those, all of a sudden you see it in the eyes of faith. and your faith is increased, and you fall in love with God, who has fallen in love with us from the very beginning. That's why he sent his Son. That's why he sent the prophets. With this reading, I would like to take the opportunity to thank the many people of St. Thomas who kept saying yes to Christ's invitation to make themselves spiritual powerhouse, to pray for vocations. You see vocations here flourishing. We have 2 priests at the 9 o'clock Mass and another seminarian, because you keep saying yes to Christ's invitation to make yourself a spiritual powerhouse. But what is this spiritual powerhouse? This house is your own life. It's my own life. It's our life with Christ. But this spiritual powerhouse will crumble and would not last if we do not make Christ our firm foundation, our bedrock. The second reading is an invitation to make Christ in our vocation the foundation of everything that we do. It's an invitation actually to practice our priesthood. The first reading talks about diaconate, diaconia, to serve. The second reading is all about witnessing to Christ's resurrection. By making Christ the spiritual foundation of our lives, we need to offer something. This is all about right worship, brothers and sisters. Right worship. And every worship needs a sacrifice. Christ has done it for us. We need to participate. And how do we participate in it? How do we do our sacrifice? If you're a mother with many children, the beginning of the day, do your morning offering. Offer everything that you need to do that day for Christ. If you're a father and you need to put food on the table, whatever job you're doing, offer it to Christ. That is your offering for the day. When you and I were baptized, thanks to our parents, we share in the priesthood of Christ. The priest shares every day the unblemished sacrifice of the Mass, the body and blood of Christ. You participate in that sacrifice by offering it through your own vocation. Brothers and sisters, we Catholics, we Christians, we're not supposed to live in bubbles. We're not supposed to be secluded from the world. Christians are precisely called to witness in the world. We need a civilization of love where Christ reigns. We need doctors, we need engineers, we need teachers, we need students, fathers and mothers who can witness to that love and mercy of Christ. The second reading is an invitation to make our own offering and make our lives a participation in the life of Christ. A life being offered every day, every single day, in whatever we do, whatever friendship we choose, whatever work we do, whatever we look at the computer for internet, whatever movie we watch. It's always a participation in that spiritual house, spiritual household where Christ is the head. First reading, diaconia, service. Second reading, martyria, witness. We need to witness Christ in the world. We need politicians who are Christians. We need doctors who are Christians. We need businessmen who are Christians. We need to witness Christ in the world. And that leads us to our gospel today. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You have faith in God, have faith also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. It's been prepared for us. The mortgage has been paid by the blood of the Lamb. We just have to claim it by our service, a loving service, and by our witness. Philip told him, "Show us the Father, and that is enough for us." Jesus answered him, "Whoever sees the Father sees me." Brothers and sisters, in few moments, we're not only going to see Jesus, we are going to receive Jesus. Every time we receive the sacraments, but especially the Eucharist, we become sharers in the divine life. We enter paradise itself. We have a foretaste of that mansion prepared for us. Do you want to stay in God's dwelling place? Claim it by the manner of your life. Serve and be a witness. Do the right worship. Choose God.